Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel to another episode of Learning English with Podcast. I'm Alex, and as always, I'm thrilled to be your guide to mastering English. Joining me today is the wonderful Alina.
Hi, Alex. Hi, listeners. I'm so excited to be here. Today's topic is something close to my heart because it's so universal. No matter where you are in the world, this topic connects us all.
Absolutely. Today, we're going to talk about something that comes up in almost every conversation, no matter where you are in the world. The weather. Whether you're making small talk, planning your day, or traveling, knowing how to talk about the weather in English is a must.
That's right. We all talk about the weather, right? It's such a natural way to break the ice in a conversation, especially when you don't know what else to say. But it's more than just saying, it's sunny today. It's about learning all those useful expressions and vocabulary.
Exactly. You can learn a lot of different ways to talk about the weather, depending on where you are and what kind of weather you're dealing with. We're going to cover it all, from the basics to more advanced expressions, and even some fun phrases. Are you excited, Alina?
I'm very excited, Alex. So let's dive right in and get started. Let's talk about the basic vocabulary you need to talk about the weather.
Part 1. Basic weather vocabulary.
All right, let's kick things off with the basics. The weather is something we talk about all the time, and the vocabulary we use is really important. The most common terms are things like sunny, cloudy, rainy, windy, and snowy. So, Alina, what's the weather like today where you are?
Well, today is actually quite chilly and cloudy. It's not raining yet, but I think it might later. How about you, Alex? What's it like where you are?
It's actually sunny here, but a little windy. I love that kind of weather because it's not too hot, but it feels fresh. It's perfect for a walk in the park.
That sounds nice. And see, these are the basic words we use. When it's sunny, we say it's sunny, and when it's raining, we say it's rainy. But there are also other ways to describe weather, like partly cloudy or overcast, when it's not fully clear or sunny.
Exactly, Alina. And if it's really hot, we might say it's scorching, or if it's freezing cold, it's freezing outside. The more words you know, the better you can describe the weather.
Right? And don't forget about the word humid. That's when the air feels sticky or moist, usually on hot days, like in tropical climates. In places like that, you might hear people say, it's so humid today.
Oh, that's a good one. Sometimes people use muggy as well. If you're in a place with a lot of humidity, it might feel uncomfortable, and people might say, it's so muggy out here.
Definitely. So Alex, when you say it's sunny, does that always mean it's a hot day?
Good question. Not always. It can be sunny, but the temperature can still be cool, especially in places like spring or autumn. For example, it's sunny but chilly today. Or you could say, it's sunny but cool.
Part 2. Different types of weather.
Now let's talk about some more specific types of weather. For example, when it's raining heavily, we can say it's pouring, or it's a downpour. And if it's just a light rain, we might say it's drizzling.
That's true. And when there's a lot of wind, we can say it's windy or it's breezy. And if the wind is very strong, you can say it's a gale or there's a strong breeze.
Right. And what about snow? If it's snowing heavily, you can say it's snowing heavily or there's a snowstorm. But if it's just light snow, you can say snowing gently or it's flurrying.
Exactly. And speaking of snow, have you ever experienced a blizzard, Alina?
Oh, yes. It's an intense experience. A blizzard is when there's heavy snow combined with strong winds, which makes it almost impossible to see or move around.
I bet that's challenging. It's great that we have all these different expressions to describe the weather in detail.
Absolutely. You can really paint a picture with your words, and knowing the right terms helps others understand exactly what the weather is like. Now let's expand on basic terms. For example, what do you say when the sky is partly covered with clouds but still sunny?
We can say it's partly cloudy or partly sunny. It depends on whether you want to focus more on the sun or the clouds.
Exactly. And if the sky is completely covered with clouds, we use the word overcast. That's a very common term, especially in places with gloomy weather.
Good one, Alina. Let's talk about humidity. When the air feels sticky and heavy, we say it's humid. That's a word you'll often hear in tropical climates.
And when it's both warm and humid, we use the term muggy. It's not the most comfortable weather, is it?
Not at all. For extreme heat, you might hear it's scorching or it's sweltering. And for very cold weather, we say it's freezing or it's bitterly cold.
Perfect examples, Alex. These words are great for describing the weather in more details.
Part 3. Talking about temperature.
Now let's talk about temperature, because that's another key part of weather conversations. When you talk about temperature, it's important to use expressions like hot, warm, cool, and cold. For example, it's really hot today, or it's pretty chilly outside.
Definitely. And when it gets extremely hot, we can say it's scorching or it's sweltering. You might even hear people say it's boiling when it's super hot, like on a really hot summer day.
Exactly. On the other hand, when it's very cold, we can say it's freezing, or it's freezing cold. And if it's not too cold but still chilly, we can say it's a bit nippy outside.
Yes, and sometimes we have weather that's somewhere in between, like cool or mild. So if it's not too hot or too cold, we might say it's a mild day today.
And don't forget about warm. If it's a day that's not too hot or too cold but feels pleasant, you could say it's a warm day, or it's quite warm outside.
Right? And it's good to know these expressions because they'll help you describe your comfort level. For example, if it's too hot, you might say, I'm sweating, it's so hot. But if it's warm and nice, you might say, this weather is perfect for a walk.
Now that we've covered different types of weather and temperature, let's talk about the weather forecast. We often hear phrases like the forecast says, or according to the weather report, when we want to talk about what the weather will be like.
Yes, exactly. For example, if the forecast predicts rain, you might say, it's going to rain later, or we're expecting some rain this afternoon.
And if it's going to be sunny, we can say, the weather's going to be sunny all day, or it looks like we'll have clear skies. But sometimes the forecast is uncertain, and we might hear, there's a chance of rain, or there's a possibility of thunderstorms.
That's right. And if a storm is coming, you might hear, a storm is approaching, or we're expecting severe weather later today. These are all useful phrases to know when discussing the weather.
And don't forget about the phrase, it looks like. This one's really common when predicting the weather. For example, it looks like it's going to snow soon, or it looks like we'll have a nice day.
Part 4. Weather around the world.
Alina, let's talk about how weather conversations vary worldwide. For example, in the UK, talking about the weather is practically a national pastime.
Oh, absolutely. British people love discussing the weather, especially since it changes so frequently. Phrases like, looks like rain, or it's a bit nippy today, are part of everyday conversation.
And in tropical countries, it's often about the heat and humidity. People might say, it's like walking through soup out there to describe a really humid day.
That's a great example, Alex. In desert regions, people have unique ways of describing the heat, like it's so hot you could fry an egg on the sidewalk.
What about snowy regions, Alina? I've heard people say, it's so cold, my breath is freezing.
Exactly. And in coastal areas, you'll often hear about the breeze. Someone might say the sea breeze is so refreshing today, or watch out for the gale.
It's fascinating how weather shapes not only language but also culture. In Japan, for instance, the rainy season, or tsuyu, is deeply connected to their lifestyle and even their art.
Absolutely. It's incredible how something as simple as weather can reflect a region's identity and traditions.
Part 5. Discussing the seasons.
Now, let's talk about the seasons. In many countries, the weather changes throughout the year, and we use the seasons to describe those changes.
The 4 seasons are spring, summer, autumn, and winter.
Right? In spring, the weather is usually mild with some rain and flowers start to bloom. You could say it's a typical spring day, or spring is in the air.
In summer, it's usually hot, And people often say, it's a hot summer day. Some regions even experience heat waves, where the temperature rises drastically.
And in autumn or fall, the weather starts to cool down. The leaves change color, and it's a great time to enjoy a sweater. People often say it's a crisp autumn morning.
And of course, in winter, it's cold. You might hear people say winter is coming, or it's freezing outside. In some places, winter means snow, and in others, it's just cold and rainy.
Part 6. Weather stories and anecdotes.
Alex, have you ever experienced a weather phenomenon that left you speechless?
Oh, definitely. Once, I was in Iceland during a snowstorm. The snow was so thick I couldn't see 2 feet ahead, but it was also incredibly serene and magical.
That sounds amazing. I had a similar experience during a monsoon in India. The rain came down so hard it felt like the world was being washed clean.
Monsoons are fascinating. Did you know they're celebrated in many cultures? In some places, people welcome the rain with songs and dances.
Yes. And on the flip side, I remember a summer day in Arizona where the heat was so intense, I could barely touch the car door without getting burned.
Ouch. That reminds me of a time in Scotland when the weather changed 4 times in one day. It was sunny, then rainy, then windy, and finally snowing, all within a few hours.
Scotland is famous for that. It's a great reminder of how unpredictable weather can be. Do you have a favorite type of weather, Alex?
I love autumn. The crisp air, the colorful leaves, and the cozy feeling are perfect for long walks and warm drinks. What about you?
I'd have to say spring. Everything feels fresh and alive, and the flowers are just gorgeous.
Part 7. The science behind weather.
Alina, have you ever wondered how the weather works? Like what causes rain or snow?
Oh, definitely. I know rain happens when water vapor condenses in the atmosphere, but there's so much more to it, right?
Exactly. Temperature, pressure, and wind all play a role. For example, thunderstorms form when warm, moist air rises and cools rapidly, creating clouds that release rain and lightning.
That's so interesting. And snow happens when the temperature is low enough for water droplets to freeze, right?
You got it. And have you heard about hail? It forms when strong winds in a thunderstorm carry raindrops upward into freezing areas of the atmosphere.
Wow, that's amazing. I've also read about hurricanes and how they develop over warm ocean waters, gaining energy from the heat.
Exactly. And tornadoes. They form when warm, moist air meets cold, dry air, creating a spinning column of air.
Weather is such a fascinating mix of science and nature. It's amazing how these forces shape our world.
Part 8. Fun with weather idioms.
Let's have a little fun with weather idioms. Did you know that the weather is full of idiomatic expressions? For example, if you say, "I'm walking on air," it means you're feeling really happy, as if you're floating above the ground. And it's related to weather, because air is something we all need to breathe, right?
Great one, Alex. Another fun weather idiom is a storm is brewing, which means that trouble or problems are coming. It's like saying something bad is about to happen.
And we've all heard the phrase, "it's a sunny day," right? But did you know that when someone says, "You're my sunshine," it means you make them really happy, just like the sun makes everything bright and warm?
Exactly. Weather idioms are a fun way to add some color to your English, and they make conversations sound a little more interesting. Alex, do you know what under the weather means?
Yes, it means feeling unwell. How about every cloud has a silver lining? Alina?
That means there's always something positive in a bad situation. I also love, it never rains but it pours.
Great one. It means problems often come together. Another favorite of mine is snowed under, which means being very busy.
And how about come rain or shine? That means no matter what happens, you'll do something.
Fantastic idioms, Alina. These add so much color to our conversations.
Part 9. This is quiz time.
All right, now it's time for our quiz. We've covered a lot today, and now it's your chance to test what you've learned. We've got 5 questions for you, so get ready. Write your answers in the comments below. Let's go.
Here's the first question. How would you describe the weather if it's not too hot, not too cold, and feels comfortable?
Great. Let's move on to question number 2. What's the term for light rain?
Question number 3. If the temperature is below freezing, what would you say about the weather?
All right, question number 4. What phrase would you use if it's snowing heavily and there's a strong wind?
And last but not least, question number 5. What's the difference between a mild day and a hot day? That was a great quiz. We hope you're ready to use all the new weather vocabulary and expressions you've learned today, and it's an informative episode about weather conversations. We hope you learned some new vocabulary and phrases to help you talk about the weather in English. Don't forget to drop your answers in the comments. We're excited to see how you did.
Exactly. Talking about the weather is such an essential skill for any English speaker. It's practical, fun, and something that comes up in daily conversations all the time. So keep practicing, and soon you'll be a weather expert in English.
Yes, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to leave your quiz answers in the comments. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe for more English learning content. Be sure to come back next time for more tips and tricks to help you on your English learning journey. So, we'll see you next time.
Until then, stay warm if it's cold, stay cool if it's hot, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone. Stay warm or cool, depending on where you are. Bye.
Bye.